Welcome to Off Air with Christy Capel. Chef Eric Wells is on this episode today, and he has been a favorite of mine for so many years. Obviously, Eric Wells and I met at Fox 8. And by the way, I know this will probably air at a later date, but he's on his 93rd time cooking on Fox 8 News in the morning. And that makes all of us happy because it always comes with something good for breakfast. But I'm so glad and honored that you're sitting down with me.
Oh, the honor is mine. Thank you so much, Christy, for having me.
I just love how we have these great guests that come through Fox 8 News in the morning, and it's like everybody has a story and how they got to where they are and how they've made it even on a local television show.
Yes.
So this is fun. I want to first kind of talk. He's a premier private chef company. It's called Skye LaRae's. And he was born and raised here in Cleveland. He has cooking classes. He has a love for his community. He does a lot of work throughout the community as well. But let's talk about Skye LaRae because that was named after.
Skye LaRae is actually named after one of my daughters.
Yes.
Her first name is Skye. Her middle name is LaRae. My other children are not too happy that the business is named after their sister.
How did she get that?
I don't know. I just love the name Skye LaRae. It sounds like a fancy French restaurant, so I love the name. And 20 years in business this year. So Skye LaRae has been going well.
And tell everyone, I know most people do, but since this is kind of like a national show, Skye LaRae's, you do a lot. I mean, we always talk about the intimate dinners and how fun those are. And talk about that because, guys, Chef Eric Wells cleans up after he's done. It's the best. You don't have to do anything, and it's so fun.
Well, the intimate dinner for two was what I initially started doing. I love it. So what I do is I go to a couple's home, and I do a 6-course dinner in their home. And I bring everything: linen, flowers, candles, china, silverware, cookware, the food, of course, and everything. And so I provide everything. The only thing I use at the clients is their stove and their water, and I clean up afterwards, as you mentioned. So it's a lot of fun. But Chrissy, it's more than me just cooking and just throwing food on the table. We're conversing all night. So I'm talking with the couples. The couples are telling me, and my background is journalism, actually. When I went to college.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, I went to college to be a sports journalist, actually. So I use that little background to kind of interview couples as I'm cooking for them. So I'm asking questions like, so tell me the story. How did you meet? Or tell me your favorite vacation or your favorite local restaurant.
Do you know that when you do that, I bet it sparks something within that couple?
I think it does.
For them to remember those things that they did probably many years ago. Right?
I couldn't agree more, Chrissy. And just to even tell you that, oftentimes I run into someone I did one for, and they'll say, hey, chef, thank you for doing that. And I've even heard people tell me, hey, listen, my marriage was struggling. We were kind of, going through a tough patch, man. And then we did our dinner for two, and the marriage has been on cloud 9 ever since, man. I just want to thank you. And to me, that's what it's all about. I mean, it's, the pictures and the money I make from it is okay. But just to see couples reconnect over dinner is amazing. And I've been married 27 years. So I love speaking into like younger couples and telling them, better ways to enhance their marriage by spending time together, doing quality things together.
Especially after kids maybe take off to college and then you reintroduce yourself. I've heard that so many times. I'm still in the season of little babies, but it's like you really you're starting to understand that, okay, it's all about the kids for so long. That what a nice evening, or maybe even a gift. For somebody. Do you travel, or are you just based in Cleveland?
So I go as far south as Columbus, far west as Toledo, far east as the Pennsylvania border. So I've done now over these 20 years, over 3,000 of these in the Cleveland, Akron, Canton, Columbus, area.
I bet during COVID and that time when a lot of restaurants were struggling, this was probably prime time for you because nobody wanted to leave.
Chrissy, I'm telling you, that March of 20 to March of 21 was my best year over year that I've had in my 20 years of business. Because again, as you mentioned, no one wanted to leave their home and go out to a restaurant. And unfortunately, we lost a lot of restaurants during that time, but people felt comfortable with me in their home. So I wore a mask until the vaccines came out, got a vaccine when the vaccines came out, stayed my distance, my 6 feet away, but, sprayed everything down, wore gloves, and, I was as safe as I could be in someone's home, and people felt comfortable with me in their home.
Some sense of normalcy of just kind of feel like you're eating out or something special than just
when
what we were doing during COVID.
Exactly. When the pandemic hit, birthdays didn't end, anniversaries didn't end. People still wanted to celebrate these wonderful occasions, and they I was lucky to have people hire me to come out and do that.
Well, Skye LaRae is much more than that. You have been catering as well for many, many years.
Yes.
So that it's interesting. Some of his stories, like, so I was stalking him before. It's like you only study for that 4-minute interview. And this is what I love about my podcast is like, oh my gosh, I've known him for 14 years and I had no idea. But you catered Mary J. Blige's one of her events when she came to Cleveland.
Yeah, I did. It was crazy.
It's a crazy story.
It's a crazy story. So she came in 2013 and I have a little relationship with the local radio station. So when she came, it was a Saturday morning, and one of the executives from the radio station contacted me, called me and said, Chef, what are you doing today? I'm, nothing. It's Saturday morning. What's going on? It's like, listen, Mary J. Blige is in town. Her caterer canceled out on her. We need someone to do breakfast, lunch, and dinner for her and her staff, 80 people all day long. Can you do it? Yes or no? And I was like, sure. So I was on the phone with my vendors. My wife was on the phone with my staff, getting everyone together. We had to do it down at the Q at the time. And, we did breakfast, lunch, and dinner for 80 people.
And what was she like? I mean, what did she know that you were last minute?
So she knew we were last minute. It was interesting because I only interacted with her maybe 10 seconds.
Yeah.
She came out of her little, dressing room area, which was her little bus area. So she came out. And she walked past us and she said, thank you for doing this last minute. I appreciate it. I was like, no problem, anytime. And that was our only interaction with her. Well, my only interaction with my wife actually handled her dressing room. So my wife had to go get her like organic teas and all kind of stuff like that.
I've heard the requests from celebrities. They're very interesting.
I should have kept it. They gave me a writer, the writer, which kind of breaks down everything that they want and need.
Yes.
It was the most ridiculous thing you've ever seen.
You should have kept
I should have kept it. I don't know why I didn't. But it was just ridiculous. It was like 24 Twizzlers, not 25, not gosh. 23. They
I've heard that like with Twizzlers. M&Ms with celebrities. They only want like a certain color. I'm like, really? We're going to pick all those out?
And then it was funny, Chrissy, because then they were like, we want organic this, and we want healthy this, healthy that. And then I swear at the bottom it said, we want a 24 bucket of Popeye's chicken. At the I said, after all this organic, healthy stuff, they wanted a 24 bucket of Popeye's chicken. I said, you know what? I'm not getting Popeye's chicken. I can make you chicken, but I'm not going to.
It's going to be better than Popeye's.
But I just thought it was hilarious.
Do you remember what you made for her?
Yeah. So what we did a kind of a big breakfast. So we did eggs, sausage, bacon. We had all kind of pastries that we bought at the store. We did a big, gigantic fruit display. We did pancakes. We had all these juices and milks and things like that. Then for lunch, we actually did kind of a cold like sandwich bar. So we did because we wanted to really concentrate on dinner. So we did sandwiches and things like that and chips and all this. And then for dinner, we did a pasta that we made. We also did a stir fry. We ordered cookies. We did, bread, salads, all kind of things. So it was just crazy. But the craziest thing about all that, Christy, was the caterer for the queue at the time would not allow us to use their kitchen. So we had 3 6-foot tables, and they gave us just 3 6-foot tables and an old cooler and said, go to work. We didn't have a stove. We didn't have oven. We didn't have anything. So I had to bring my portable burners.
You're kidding.
And we did breakfast, lunch, and dinner for 80 people on portable burners all day long. It was the craziest thing ever. They finally say, Chef, at the end of the night, it's like 1 a.m. and Mary J. Blige just went off, just finished. And they're like, okay, Chef, we're going to settle up with you. And we settled up for a pretty nice amount. So I'm thinking I'm going to write a check or a cashier's check or something. Yeah. Big briefcase, $100 bills.
No way.
So I'm walking out of the queue on a Saturday night, middle of the summer, with $100 bills everywhere. And all I'm thinking is, God, please don't let me get robbed. Because if I get robbed, it's going to be all over.
Oh my God.
But it was the craziest thing ever. And
Eric, that's hilarious.
First thing Monday morning, I was at the bank at 8:55, waiting in the bank's parking lot.
What the heck?
Yeah,
Where did you get all this
money from? It's crazy. And the bank was asking, are you okay? I'm like, yes, I'm fine. You know my history. I'm okay.
Yes. That is wild. So I love the stories because I think you probably hear a lot of them in your career
Correct.
in your field and what you do. And so do you remember kind of when you started and like where your love for cooking came from? Like I feel like my mom tried to get me in the kitchen and I was like, I'm out.
Yeah.
Like I can't do it. So I just did other things. But
Yeah, it was my mother also. My mother was just an amazing cook. She wasn't a chef, but she was an amazing cook. And she, like, especially holidays were huge. And she would cook these massive meals. And, it got to the point where I started helping her. My mother started getting a little older. I started helping her. But my mother got really sick. My mother ended up passing away of kidney failure some year, back in 2003. But before that, back when I was really young, I remember she had a Betty Crocker cookbook, and on the cover of the Betty Crocker cookbook was a picture of chicken cacciatore. And I begged her, Mom, please, can I make this chicken cacciatore at 8 years old? And she finally was like, okay, you can make it. So I made it, just went through the recipe and made it. It was chicken juice and tomato sauce everywhere, just everywhere. But it came out so good. Even my father loved it, which was shocking. My father
was he real particular?
Oh my God. So he ate it. He said, oh, this is pretty good. And I said, that's it. I love it. And from there, I fell in love with food.
Isn't that wild? And that was your first recipe that you made?
First recipe I ever made, chicken cacciatore.
That is wild.
Yeah.
And so all these years later, you created this amazing business. And we talk, you have your cookbook with you, and I want you to show that because this is really neat. We were talking about his intimate dinners and stuff. And so now he's got this cookbook that basically has all the recipes and love stories.
Yeah. So what I did here was I took that concept of the dinners for two, and most of the recipes in the book are for two people, just like my dinners for two. But what I did was I had 29 of my favorite couples that I cook for share their story in the book. So I asked them to just tell me your story. Tell me a story of how you met, your dating story. And it's some amazing stories in there. It's a variety of couples, Black, white, interracial, young, old, Democrat, Republican.
You got it all.
You got it all. I got a same-sex couple in the book. So, I wanted a nice variety of people. And it's amazing because people tell me all the time, Chef, I have your book. I love it, but I haven't read one recipe yet. I just been reading the stories of the couples, and I appreciate every couple that shared their story. And it's been an amazing ride with the book.
It's great. You can get it on Amazon. Probably just about anywhere.
Correct.
So it would make a great gift too. But you've had a lot of favor in your life, and I think as I'm doing these fun conversations, that it always comes back to faith and like how these people got to where they are today, and even the trials that we are all expected to go through in life.
Correct.
And so kind of talk about that, because after you started to get kind of popular or famous throughout the city, things started playing in your mind.
Yeah, I worked for Fortune 500. I worked for Progressive Insurance, and I decided after my mother passed away, my family basically used my mother's insurance money to send me to culinary school. So I went to the Loretta Paganini School of Cooking.
Yes.
Ended up being the first African American to graduate from that program. But I was still working at Progressive at the time. So working at Progressive, I started doing these dinners for two, and it started going really well. And then I reached out to Fox 8, and Fox 8 asked me to come on and share my story. And I came on, and then I started kind of smelling myself. I honestly, Chrissy, I started.
You got a taste of this business.
Yeah, I got a taste of this crazy business, and I seeing myself on TV, I started kind of, putting myself a little further than I should have been. So it was funny. It was times I would come on Fox 8 and I would immediately leave here and just walk around like a mall, so people can say, hey, you're that guy that was on TV,
yes.
Or a grocery store, hey, you're that guy. And that just, my ego would be all over the place. Yeah. And I honestly feel like God needed to kind of break me a little bit. And I think that breaking point happened in 2012. I left Progressive with a pursuit to open another restaurant, or open a restaurant. And I was 3 days away from opening the restaurant, and the restaurant completely failed. Oh, wow. It went through like a big time failure, and I lost all my money. I went through the biggest depression I've ever been through in 2012. Honestly, I was even contemplating suicide the summer of 2012. It was just so much going on. My Skye LaRae just graduated from high school. I was unable to like pay for her prom. I couldn't pay for her college. So much was on my wife at the time. And I just felt less than a man. So I honestly just broke down and just surrendered everything to God and just asked him to just redeem me. And you know, he did. He healed me, and things have progressively gotten better and better. And then the Mary J. Blige thing happened, and then
that was after you had gone through depression.
correct, yeah. So the Mary J. Blige thing happened in June of 2013. But again, that was June of 2012 when I was kind of going through a really, really rough spot. You know, I lost a ton of weight. I didn't want to get out of bed. It was the hottest summer ever to me. I just sweat and cried.
And at that
all
time,
summer.
you were coming on Fox 8 and cooking as well.
Yeah, I was still like, whenever, one of the producers reached out to me and asked me to come on, I was coming on. But even in that, Chrissy, just to be honest, you guys would call me and say, yeah, I want you to come on and do a recipe for whatever. I was scraping up money to like go to the store to buy some of the ingredients. Like, I don't know. I mean, even to get even a little more detail, there was like one time I recall going on and I didn't have any money. We had this jar of like change. I had to get quarters out to count up to go to the grocery store to buy the ingredients to go on Fox 8 to do that. And again, I always use the analogy or the statement here that, the Lord, he breaks you to heal you, and someone told me this before, when a sheep always strays, and when a farmer has a sheep and he always strays, the farmer takes that sheep and breaks his leg. He doesn't break his leg to injure him or harm him. He breaks it so he can heal him back, so that sheep knows never to leave again. And that's what had to happen to me. I had to be broken so I can be healed, and so I can never get too ego driven or too high on myself. And I'll never leave again.
Yeah, isn't it amazing when God shows up at the toughest time in your life? People always say they look back on the toughest time in their life and they were like, God was right there the whole time. Now, when we're in the moment, right?
Yeah, it's tough. Yeah,
it's tough, and we can't, see through it. But then as you go through life, and then I didn't know the Mary J. Blige thing happened after that. So it was like all these little blessings of, okay, you're back on board with me, God's saying, and I'm going to show you how I can bless your life and open new doors.
Yeah. And that's as perfect as you can say it, Chris. That was exactly the way it was. And with me, what it was a surrender moment. And I felt the Lord basically telling me, you've given me 95% of yourself. It's still that 5% you're not giving me, And I said, no, Lord, I tithe, I do this, I go to church, I do this. He said, you still that 5% you're not giving me. It's what I felt in my spirit. And when I surrendered and said, Lord, I give it all to you, that's when things start turning around. And I'm doing it to glorify him. Right. I do everything I do to glorify him, not for my own self, not for my own ego or anything. Now it's all about his glorification.
And he's the most generous, humble guy. And it's just crazy to listen to those stories, because I didn't know you then, and I know you now. And it's like hard to believe, that you were in that situation. You give back a lot, and I know that you probably always have, but after going through that, did it kind of open your eyes and more doors for you to get back to your community, because you truly love your community?
I do love my community. And my community is large. It's vast, more than just the African-American community, more than just, my neighborhood I grew up in. There are charities I give to every year, and I don't blast it on social media or anything like that. But there's charities I support and give to every year. And that's big for me. My parents taught me that when I was young, to always give back. If you've been blessed, bless others. There's one, and speaking even of 2012, the Cystic Fibrosis Foundation is one of my big charities that I support. And they have their big this thing called the Cleveland Wine Opener every year. And they asked me to participate in 2012. And I literally had, again, no money to participate in it, but I scraped up some money and I made the most simple dish I could. I made a little penne pasta with like a tomato sauce. No meat in it or anything, and a whole bunch of Parmesan cheese. I couldn't even afford the meat. I just did Parmesan cheese, and it it's sold out. We didn't sell it, but people just, I ran out of food. People loved it.
That's wild.
And I just was
there's a blessing right there.
There's a blessing, and in those charity events, that's where some of my business comes from. People say, hey, where's your restaurant? Then I have to explain, I don't have a restaurant. I do this. And then they're like, wow, give me your card. And next thing you know, 2 weeks later, they're calling me like, hey, my anniversary is coming up. Can you come to my house and do this? So,
yes. And so did your kids get the whole chef kind of bug of cooking, or did they work for you? No. What do your girls do?
So, we have 4. My wife and I, we have 4. So we have 3 girls and a boy. Yeah. My youngest is actually in graphic art. So she's an artist. She graduated from Columbus College of Art and Design.
That's great.
So she's actually right now in New York City, setting up her own little studio. She's got a little studio setting up in New York City.
That's awesome. And people just hire her
to do film and photography and drawings. And all this stuff. Very talented young lady. Skye LaRae is actually in marketing. She works for a marketing company based out of Pittsburgh. So she's doing really well with that. My oldest is a female. Her name is Lauren. Lauren is working for the federal government. Okay. And then my second oldest is Matthew. Matthew is a general contractor. He has his own little company, and he does really well, like rehabbing homes.
Yeah.
But none of them are chefs.
Isn't that crazy? Now, does your wife cook too?
She can cook.
Are you guys both kind of helping with Skye LaRae's
she can cook. Yeah, she does really well. She does pastries really well. So she does.
Ooh, that's a good balance.
That's a very good balance because I do not like to bake at all.
Really?
But she does like cupcakes and things like that, and she's really talented with that. So whenever we need cupcakes or something, she puts them together for us.
That's awesome. Yeah. So there's a lot that is within Skye LaRae's. They have all these great cooking classes, and you've taken even the cooking classes into your community as well. There's cooking classes for kids, whomever, and in discounted prices for them too. And just really, your passion is there to maybe get kids into this, right? Or into the business, or at least get them focused on the right things.
Exactly. The one thing that I've noticed here, Chrissy, is that a lot of younger adults don't, and adolescents, they really don't know how to cook. Yeah. They don't know how to cook.
No, I still don't. I'm 40. I'm just, he already knows that. I need apparently a few classes.
But I'm pretty sure you could put something together for your family.
Yeah, mac and cheese box.
Yeah, but a lot of these children, they don't know how basic skills, and when they come to my class and we do a little cooking class, along with teaching them the recipes that we're working on, I'm teaching them just the basic skills more than just kitchen stuff, just life skills. When you deal with someone, you shake a man's hand, you look him in his eye when you shake his hand. When you're working with someone, you work and do please and thank you and things like that. So cooking is fine, but the life skills are more important to me.
Sure. Yeah. So what is your goal? You've done so much. You're currently doing so much, and it's all just wonderful. He's never leaving Fox 8.
Never.
So what else do you want to do? What is your goals? And
I've never been asked this before. Of the 50 million interviews
really?
I've never been asked. What do I want to do? So
not good for you, but good for me now.
So my ultimate goal would be to do something national.
Yes.
To do something national, to be on a national show, and do something like that. I've applied for some shows on Chopped and things like that, and they've never called me.
You keep doing it.
Yeah, keep doing it. Yeah, definitely. You have
to keep sending it. Just keep sending it. Yeah. And they'll be like, oh, and you're just in their inbox at the top of their inbox all the time.
Yeah, but that's the ultimate goal. But just honestly, to just continue to give back. We've built Skye LaRae's. Right now, Skye LaRae's, there's 8 of us on my in my company. I have 3 chefs along with myself, so it's 4 chefs. I have 3 servers and 1 bartender. So just to continue to grow my chefs. One of my chefs, he is actually the culinary instructor at East Tech High School.
Oh, wow.
His name is Jonathan Gardner. He actually has been with me since he was 12 years old.
My
I know
goodness.
child labor laws, but he's been with me since he was 12 years old. So he is now 24. Very talented. He went to Culinary Institute of America in Hyde Park, New York. So he's a graduate of there. And now, again, he runs East Tech's culinary program.
Look at that.
Yeah.
Dude, you had all the credit. You get most of the credit. No, seriously.
Yeah.
It's amazing to watch probably a lot of those kids go on.
Yeah, it's great. And that's the one thing I love here, Christy, is and I say this with the utmost humility. I have chefs that have worked under me all over the country. I have someone in Arizona right now. I have someone in San Francisco right now. I have a couple of them that used to do things for the Browns players and the Cavs players. I have chefs all over the nation that are doing some amazing things right now that worked under me. And I don't take the big time credit. I check on them all the time. I make sure they're doing well. And if they need anything, I can provide for them.
But you should. And I hope that you keep doing that,
Yeah.
Even with the younger kids now, because, who knows what their future could be.
Correct.
So you got to check out, I will link everything on all my podcasts, social media stuff, because if you're local or within the perimeter of where Chef Eric Wells travels to, you can do that intimate dinner, or maybe come into Cleveland and do the classes. Or our weather girl, Alexis Walters, just took a class. By the way, she had the best time.
Yeah, oh my God.
The best time, because it's
fun.
it's not just cooking. It's it's the experience.
It's the experience. And one other thing about the dinners too is I actually also do them in hotels.
Oh, cool.
So I have a contract with a local hotel that has a kitchen inside the room. So I get the room under my account. We do the 6-course dinner in the room. I leave, the couple keeps the room for the night, and then the hotel provides them breakfast in the morning.
Oh, that is so nice.
So it's great for people who are traveling, as you mentioned, are coming in from out of town.
Or just get out of the house from the suburbs and come downtown.
It happens all the time.
Oh my gosh, that's a great idea. Thank you for sharing your story.
Oh, I'm honored. Thank you so much.
I love sitting down with you and so much success. And I can't sit here and say I'm so proud of you, but I'm thrilled for you.
Thank you.
And I know a lot of people love Chef Eric Wells throughout the city and nationally. So we're going to get him a national show, and he'll be on the cooking channel. And I'm just going to predict all of that.
And I'll have you on with me.
There you go. He's going to teach me how to cook live on his national show for the first time.
Exactly.
That's going to be a show. All right. Thanks, Chef.
My pleasure. Thank you.